So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cheng Ling. I'm Professor of Natural Language Processing in the Computer Science Department. We are very delighted to have Jose with us here today to give an in-person seminar. Before we get started, I'm going to introduce the speaker. So Jose Camacho-Collados is a professor at the University of Cardiff. I'm leading the Cardiff NLP group. And before joining Cardiff University, he completed his PhD in Spienza, University of Rome, and was a Google AI PhD fellow. Until recently, his research has been focusing on various semantics aspects in NLP with a distributional perspective. And he wrote a book titled Embeddings in Natural Language Processing, and is the general chair for StarSam conference in 2024. More related to the topic of the talk, in the last few years, Jose has been working on social media analysis and its applications, and developing NLP tools, especially targeted to this domain. So, a very warm welcome, Jose. Please.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here, so thanks all for coming. I'm going to talk about, it's going to be a practical talk, mostly about the work that we do in social media, and the intersection of social media and natural language processing. I'm going to talk a bit about the specialized language models. I guess language model is now everywhere, no? When you talk about NLP, how to evaluate them, and some of the challenges, no? That specifically temporal challenges, and some applications. Because one thing that at least we focus on the Cardiff NLP, and in general, no, we try to make our tools, no, available so people, no, can use it and use it in different kind of applications. No? And I'm going to talk a bit more about that later as well. And I'm going to talk also about Twitter NLP. That is kind of we put almost a lot of things that we have together working on social media, no? So it's been a multidisciplinary and international team, and all our resources we try to put together, no, for people that can easily to use and so on. So let's start just about me. Well, actually, thanks, Chengo, for the introduction. No, I mean, probably he said already all of it, but just to say, I work at Cardiff University, where I lead currently the Cardiff NLP group. And recently also I got like a future leader fellowship that a few years ago, that it comes with out of funding, and that's why with this funding I funded the NLP group and a group and so on. No? So let's say also that kind of was also a changing point in my career, because at that time also I was working by myself mostly and with collaborators, and suddenly I have like a big group and so on to manage, no? So I become more as a manager than a researcher, and a lot of things I'm going to talk today is actually work of that kind of wider team, no? More than myself. And broadly I'm interested in anything related with natural language processing, just as a start, but kind of my main areas of expertise maybe can be summarized in these kind of 4 keywords, no? Semantics, resources, multilinguality, and social media. And I'm going to focus mostly in the last one, but also a bit on resources as well. And yeah, as you will be, I've written the books Embedded NLP, and I'm the general chair of StarSam, that is this year, and still you have time if you are working on semantics. The deadline actually in a few weeks, wrap up from papers and so on. So yeah, just about the Cardiff NLP group, it's kind of a relatively young group, so we started like 3 years ago, where we were basically almost a couple of people, and now it's been growing quite a lot, so a lot of faculty have joined the Cardiff University, and also we have also more postdocs, PhD students and so on, no? And it's kind of growing. We organize quite a lot of activities, so we like also to be in touch, no, with many people also around the UK especially, no? So if at some point, you want to join some of our activities, just let us know. So we organize seminars, workshops, hackathons, and so on. No? So, and a lot of things are in person, other things are hybrid, and yeah, we welcome many people actually, not only people from Cardiff, but if everybody's around, I mean, we are more than happy, to host and to get to know more people. We are quite active, let's say, with open source contributions, and you will see also throughout the talk. No? So we make out of emphasis, we do research in NLP, so we try to have obviously good research, that's our main purpose too, but we try to, every time we do some research, as something that is applicable, no? So we try to share things, mostly open source, no? For people to build on what we do, and for people also to make it easy to use, because I mean, one particular criticism, no, that is done to NLP, well, to researchers in general, no, is the kind of that we build things that then people cannot use, no. So we put a lot of emphasis also in this kind of applicability, no, and the topic of the talk is probably more applied than research. Just last thing, also we are organizing a workshop, NLP workshop, that we will have various speakers. We have a lot of activities, panels, no, poster presentation, networking, and so on in 2 days. So it's going to be 1st and 2nd of July. We just set the dates like a week ago. So if anyone is interested, not soon, I mean, we'll have the registration open and so on. No? So everybody's welcome to join. It's particularly focused for people not working on NLP that already knows a bit of NLP, like it can be early career researchers, PhD students, but basically anyone that is interested in NLP. No? So we have a wide variety of activities. And yeah, Cardiff is not that far, so yeah, if you want to come down at some point, yeah, welcome to do that. So it's okay, just about myself and the group and so on. No? Now I'm going to talk a bit about research, no, and what we do, no? And especially this topic on social media. So I started with this title, Specialized Language Models. And I'm going to explain what I mean by specialized language models. Just so we are commonly know to know, I guess most of you know what are language models, you know a bit of NLP, no? It's everywhere, no? So it's impossible to do anything NLP and you don't talk about language models. So what is a language model? So basically, just to simplify, no? You start with a corpus, like a corpus of collection of documents, that can be Wikipedia, news corpus, books, anything, no? You name it, no code even, no? And so on. Then you, through there, kind of a neural network, sometimes kind of based on transformers, but can be different kind of architecture, no? And you get what you call pre-trained language models. That then there are many, no? We started, let's say, well, we don't start, there were before too, but kind of BERT, Roberta, and things like that. But then we have something like Llama, GPT, no, and kind of models, no? Like kind of the paradigm is always very similar, no? So you have text, usually it's not labeled, so you just through there like a black box. I'm not going to get into details of how that works, no, because there are different ways to do that, and as I mentioned, I want to focus on the practical aspect. And then, like the beauty of this language model is like it's been shown, no, for many years now, and especially now, that it can work well in a wide range of applications. So like any kind of application that you have text, no, I mean usually the best way to start is with the language models, no, and sometimes even the last place also to work on, no. I mean you have a language model that knows a lot about the language and about the words and about basically the word as well, no? Because I mean this is what is encoded in those texts, and then it's easy, no, to kind of to adapt it to different tasks, question answering, text certification, information retrieval, you name it. So yeah, this is basically language models, but then you have also like specialized language models, no? So language model usually you have something that is very general domain, so it knows about a lot of things, but maybe it's not specialized about one particular no domain, no? Let's say also the medical domain, law, or social media, in these cases, you can imagine, that maybe are not particularly not fine-tuned for these kind of applications, no? So you can maybe do something in the language models to make it work better for this. There has been two mainly ways to specialize language models. Kind of this is, again, oversimplifying, that is augmented with kind of external information that can be knowledge bases, or can be other kind of text that is annotated, or things like that, or can be also kind of having more corporal text collection of your particular domain, no? So you are working in medical domain, maybe you have clinical records that you want to train on, or you want to have like publications about medical domain, you have law, no? You want to have maybe some kind of text, no, related to the legal domain, on social media, plus social media. So I focus mostly in this second part, that is basically, I say, the simplest, but it's not like the other part is not important. Basically, there are a lot of work now going in that first part, no? But just to, so we're in the common ground, I'm going to talk mostly about. So how can you retain on domain-specific corpora? There are two main ways, which has advantages and disadvantages. Like the first one, like here on the top, is kind of mixed domain pre-training. What it means for that? So you start with a general domain corpus, like Wikipedia, books, and so on, as I mentioned. No? You have a language model that already knows about everything, about language, or a lot of things about language. And then you continue training on your particular domain. No? So it's kind of you specialize that language models in your particular domain. This is one example, no, of a few years ago. No? Then you have ByBERT and so on. No? So when you continue training, then you have a language model that still theoretically knows a lot about what you've been trained before, but it's much more specialized on what is seen, no, in the last part. Or the other part is just simply, no, so you have a large enough corpus of your domain, maybe you can just throw it there, no? And in some cases this can work well, because you know, for example, the vocabulary that you use, knowing your specialized domain, no, is very different maybe than the general domain. And even when you are tokenizing or kind of getting to know what are your tokens or your vocabulary, general corpus maybe it's not ideal, no? So that has disadvantages, but the disadvantage is obvious, no? That then this language model is going to know about your domain, but it's not going to be about general language. And sometimes it's useful to know anyway, no? Because you're going to answer something about the the legal domain, it's good that you still know the grammar of language very well. I think like when you talk with a lawyer or something, no, they also know the language, no, so you can communicate with them. So it has advantages and disadvantages, depending on your application. And yeah, I'm going to talk mostly, about how to specialize, the language models on social media. That is the topic of the talk. And first, you may wonder why, because as I mentioned, you have a language model that works well generally in all applications, without doing anything. So why you need to specialize in language model in social media? There are many reasons for that. And if you've been using kind of general language models, you will see that. I mean, a lot of things that will struggle with these kind of things. So yeah, it's an informal grammar. People use basically with slangs and it's not what you will find, for example, in Wikipedia. That maybe is what a general language model knows more. It's multilingual by nature, so you have basically many languages, and sometimes can switch so much, and sometimes you have a lack of context as well. You have to understand the text basically with just a few words, for example, or you need to understand the context, the temporal context, and that's hard to. The vocabulary is very regular. You have things like emoji, abbreviation, typos, hashtags, mentions, things that are specific to social media that you don't have in general text. Probably one of the things that also is challenging, and I don't tackle that much in this talk, is like, well, here I put tweets, but it's a social media post, I generally not just message out of the blue, So when somebody posts something, I don't know, today there is a football match, so people are talking about that football match, So there is a particular context, and sometimes they put even a video, or an image, or it's part of a thread answering somebody, So this kind of environment is very specific to social media, And the conversational nature as well, It's very different to what you will find, in things like news or Wikipedia and things like that. Another thing I would argue finally is that social media I think is important, and it's increasingly important, because more and more people use it, So we are connected, everybody's connected and through social media, So we get to know about the news through social media. Many people interact just through social media. And yeah, it's a part of our life, and to understand basically, many parts of our life, we need to model social media. And this is not easy to do manually, because social media you have millions and millions of posts every day. And it's impossible to process that manually, Even having a dedicated team, even if you have a limited budget, it's not easy you will do that. So we need automatic tools, for certain applications, in social media. So yeah, hopefully I convince you, why this is kind of important and why we need to focus, on this kind of specialization. And just to have also some cherry pick example, and apologies if you are one year too, but yeah. So one example I have, so first of all, you have Holland, that was, and what kind of thing you would expect to find in a language model, So you have a general domain language model, it would tell you something like write, me, him, good, So something very generic, Something not specific about Holland. In social media you'll find something like fast, quick, close, amazing, and you will see later how we have a kind of a demo so you can certify by yourself, how this is a clear difference, how people communicate, and even just an easy example, like this, super short, you will find so many differences, and a general domain language model and language specific. But yeah, okay, I told you some reasons, I give you some cherry pick example, and let's see also kind of some proper evaluation on what we did, So hopefully I can convince you a bit more. And I have also other cool examples later too, so maybe I can keep convincing you that way. I will start because we've been working on this since a few years ago, so kind of it gives you more or less a context of how this project started, because it was not my primary research expertise, as I mentioned before. I work also on semantics and language understanding, but then I started to get to more applied, and also one of the reasons was what I want to mention now, this kind of work and the follow-up works on this area. So we designed a few years ago, like 3 years ago already, Tweetable, that is kind of new language model for social media and an evaluation benchmark. So what is Tweetable? So first, a language model. So first we built a language model like at that time, like a state-of-the-art language model at the time. And still I'm going to argue that for many applications, you still are very good with this kind of model, and you will see later as well, but yeah, many things have changed over them, so from that time. So basically what we did is what I showed you before. So we have a Roberta checkpoint, like it's released by Facebook at that time, so a large language model, well, not large by today's standard, but at that time it was large. It knows a lot about language and a lot of information, and then we continue training in tweets. So we have like, that moment I don't remember, but maybe 1 billion tweets, and so now we have more, and then we kind of continue training. So one of the reasons why I continue training is because that size, maybe 1 billion tweets, is not that much, let's say, for for this kind of research. I mean, this kind of language model, usually they get much more data, no? So that's why, so you have a language model that is already training a lot of data, then you can continue training, and you don't need that much data to already specialize the language model. But then you have also, if you want, so you have other language model like Bertweet is trained from the scratch, no? So there are other approaches also that do differently. And they have advantages and disadvantages, as I mentioned. No? I'm not going to say that one approach is better than the other, no? And it also depends on the amount of data. Then we built both the language model and a benchmark. One problem with social media, and for just some of you that are working on that, if you know, it's like people have their own data, they evaluate it on their own, and it's hard to compare, no? Like one model is better than the other one, or yeah, we develop maybe a new methodology that is better because usually you evaluate your own data and you don't compare with others, no? And that's usually a big problem, no? From the methodological point of view. And also, I mean, we got motivated. At that time, we had something like Glue and Super Glue. You heard that it's kind of a language understanding benchmark, but we didn't have anything, no, for Twitter, no, at that time, no. So there were kind of tasks. Many people have device tasks, but there was no a benchmark per se, no, to evaluate social media, no, models. So basically, we took a kind of a standard NLP tasks. Most of them already existing ones. Some of them we created also ourselves, and yeah, put them together basically. So not very complicated, no, but at least we have something that everybody, no, working on that, no, can use it, no, and many people now use it to evaluate the models. One problem of this benchmark is that it's focused just on classification, like on tweet classification. So you classify whether a tweet is hateful, whether a tweet is the sentiment is positive or negative, and so on. No? So it's a kind of text classification task only based on tweets. But so then, kind of this year, basically a few months ago, we've been working actually quite a lot on this kind of project. So we extended with kind of more challenging application. And now, given that we have now language models, large language models, they can do basically everything. So we can also test them in more challenging tasks, no? So we extended basically this benchmark. More than extending, we kind of created a new one, no? When we have tasks that are kind of a variety of tasks, no? Not only classification, but also generation tasks, like question answering, question generation. There is kind of some regression task or tweet similarity as well, no? Like to test, for example, sentence embedding has been very popular, no? So you have a sentence similarity benchmark, so we created the same for tweets as well. So this is basically examples. I'm not going to go through them, but yeah, you have name entity recognition, question generation, name entity disambiguation, sentiment classification, intimacy analysis, topic classification, hate speech, and tweet similarity, and so on. So we very kind of different tasks, so you can evaluate the language models there, not too. So that was what we did in this paper as well. No? So we not only released a task and created the benchmark, but also we evaluated it. It's available there in Hugging Face, everything, so you can use it. And as I mentioned, you have generative, regression, classification tasks with different kind of domains or subdomains of social media. And also with temporal split. I'm going to talk also about the temporal challenge. No? So that's one thing that also it's on the kind of the task we're divided, no? Because when you work on social media, usually you want to work on now, no? What is happening now, no? Most of the people, I mean, not always, no? You want to analyze maybe the past, but most people, I know you are a journalist, you want to analyze what is happening at the moment. But on benchmark, we usually evaluate like training, no? A test split, no? They usually kind of have the same distribution, and it's not the same. And we showed there also that it's not the same when you evaluate, you know, in kind of in the future, let's say, no? That is what people want to use, you know, in real time. The results, I'm not going to get into the details, but we found it increasingly very complicated to use like these large language models, like GPT, OPT, Llama, and so on, in this kind of benchmark. It's very hard. First, they are very big, no? So they are very slow. I mean, we are kind of, this task is usually for people that they want to analyze millions of tweets, so it's usually not very practical, not to have a super large language model to evaluate here. And also you have mostly conversational agents, no? Like GPT, no, Llama, they are kind of fine-tuned for conversation, no? So then you have to convert the outputs, no, into labels, no, and things like that to analyze, no? These are two things, but even result-wise, even without taking into account all that, still a smaller specialized model, we found it that works better in basically almost all tasks. Like a Roberta model that I mentioned before, no? When you have some data that you can fine-tune your model on, it will work better than these large language models. So yeah, the existing work, no? So because we were thinking, oh God, these large language models are solving everything, no? But it seems that that is out of work, and at least from myself, I think that we need to have much more efficient models, more specialized, and so on. No? So now we have a kind of very good general domain language models, but they are not still for what people use it, and we collaborate also with many companies or people from other research groups, no? How they use the models, and large language models is not their solution, or at least not yet, no? But yeah, this is another topic of discussion. I'm happy also to discuss about that, no, too as well. Let's go back a bit more again, no, for when we released Tweetable, but this is kind of now taking now, as we mentioned, we release everything mostly on Hugging Face, so we have models that people are using, no, for this, especially sentiment analysis is very popular. And the reason why I continue working on this, or one of the reasons, no, is at some point we released this paper, Tweetable, we have just a few fine-tuned models, no, for example in sentiment, and people started to download, I use it a lot, but we're not sure why, because I mean, we don't even do any promotion or anything like that. And suddenly it got like the top model in Hugging Face, no? I mean, it was downloaded more times, no, per month than GPT, BERT, Roberta, no, and so on, and all these models, no? And you say, I mean, it doesn't make any sense, no? I mean, this model from Google, Facebook, and so on, no? And why people are using so much, no? So we try to understand a bit more, and it's kind of related to what I was talking before, no? Like people, no, that are using, no, like most people that use our models, let's say, it's kind of small or medium companies or people doing research in other fields that they need to analyze social media, no? And they find it very practical, these models. I mean, they work very good. So you compare with something that it was 10 years ago or 5 years ago, they are much better, no? And they are still not massively large, no? I mean, you can use in your laptop, no? Easily use, no? To analyze millions of, let's say, tweets or even all the social media platforms, no? We also were surprised that people were using, no? In Facebook, Reddit, and so on, no? So they were using not only on Twitter as well. And yeah, we started to know all this, and for us it was a surprise. It was just a paper, no, like we publish others, no, so we just have a paper there in findings of NLP, and we put it there, and we make a bit of effort, but not much more, on releasing the models, having the benchmark, and so on, no. But then, yeah, we realized people were using a lot, so kind of this area also with kind of bugged me a bit. I mean, why people are using a lot, so kind of switch, no, to kind of this kind of research mindset of just having the best models, no, but to have something practical, no, that people can use, no, that people really use, no. So okay, if people have used already this without any marketing, without kind of any effort, maybe we can do a bit of effort, no, for people to use more, and maybe because we know we can even improve this one, no, so we can have better documentation, better codes, no, better models as well. We know they can improve. We were not. Here we didn't care about having the best model, no? Let's say we just have, it was a benchmark, no? So we just release a model and that's it, no? So yeah, we did a bit of effort on that, on this applied part, no? So that's also what I'm going to talk a bit more later and so on, no? And Twitter NLP that I mentioned at the beginning. And another thing is I'm going to pass quickly. So we started in English. That's usually will happen a lot of times in our research. So we started something in English. You have more resources, it's better. But then we try to extend. No, also I mean English is not even my native language. No, and I'm very interested in this kind of multilinguality. No, many languages. No, so we try to build something similar with many different languages. And why again? So same as Twitter. There was no benchmark, no multilingual benchmark, and no language model that is multilingual, especially on social media. So we did something very similar. We just collected data, but not only in English, but now in many different languages, no? And again, we train a model, like a similar architecture actually, except Marra is also, again, an architecture node that it was proposed by Facebook at the time. And again, we used the kind of the language model and continue training ourselves. And we just updated also one kind of recently, well, last year. So we've been updating the models that I'm going to mention also lately, so they know at least about the future. But I'm going to mention also that because we kind of stopped updating them for problems to getting the data and so on, no? And it's hard also to get to train so many models, no? That's also other things. So yeah, I'm going to talk now about this kind of updating the language models quickly again. Because I'm very interested in this temporal aspect, no? So even if it's going to be quickly, I think it's super important, not only in social media, but in general, no? In NLP. So why is important to know this? Well, language is changing, no? All the time, no? So I mean, the things that were terms that you were using, no? A few years ago, maybe now they change, no? Or now you introduce new terms. Or I put the example now always of COVID, no? That I mean. Usually the models like BERT, Roberta, no, was pre-COVID. They don't know anything about COVID, no, about the pandemic, about anything like that. You try to use them for that, they don't know anything. But if you want to analyze our context today, no, obviously that's a very important thing. And that is an example. No, in social media, you have so many new words that I introduced, no, so many sub-communities that introduce new words, no, that people talk differently and so on. So yeah, popular model at the time are old, and kind of this is even old too. But I mean, GPT when it was released, it knew only things about 2021, no. And that happens as well. You want to do something new, and as I mentioned, in social media, usually you want to work in real time. So it's better to have some model that is updated, or at least that you know that it's going to work well, in real time, which is super dynamic. So what is the solution here? So there are many solutions. I see people are working on this, a lot, and continual learning, from many different aspects as well. No? How can you make sure now that the models you can keep updating them, or that they keep up to date, or at least that they are robust, no, to these kind of changes. But one solution that we propose is very similar, very simple. No, I would say that you just release new models, no, every 3 months. That yeah, it's not something groundbreaking, as I say, something practical, no, and people appreciate it at least, no, because I mean we have models that have even more data and more recent data, no, so at least it's an improvement, no. I mean now we see how big improvement. I'm going to show you now in a moment, no, but it's an improvement in terms that it's updated and you have even more data. So the same, we use the same as Twitter as our training corpus, and the models that we have from 2019 until now. Well, until now, actually not really. As I said, in the last few months we haven't been really able to update. Not going to get into details on the results, no, but we try to evaluate, no. So we say that it's important maybe to have a new language model. So let's try to evaluate. This is kind of a perplexity-based evaluation. For you that don't know, it's just simply to know how likely is a text. No? So you have a new text and the language model to see how plausible it is, that text. No? So when you have a text, let's say from 2021, if it's a model that is being trained until 2021, you expect that no better. And that's usually what happens here. That you have kind of going down the perplexity. I mean, lower is better. So the models that has been trained later, it's usually better. And they are better overall, not only for the own periods, but overall they are better. No? So we're also kind of surprised about that. No? So they are not losing much information on what they had before, neither. No? But they are especially good in their own period. No? That is kind of the diagonal here. So I mean, the improvements are not massive, but at least it gives our confidence that obviously this happens. No? I mean, for the wide majority of, let's say, of tweets, it's not going to change, but for some of them, obviously, you need to know about recent events and things like that. And yeah, in the paper, we have more experiments to show that this is not due to having more data, but having more recent data as well. No? So there is a trade-off for that as well. No? And again, yes, so cherry-pick examples to show you kind of these kind of things. So again, I show the example of COVID because probably that's more illustrative on all this. No? So you have models trained until 2020, the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and 2021. So the first example here on the top is so glad time, and then you start getting fully after 2021, the second quarter. And it was when the vaccine were introduced, that you had 2 doses, so people say fully vaccinated and so on. Then you say, I keep forgetting to bring up, and then you say suddenly when the COVID started, especially after the second quarter, you start getting masks, that people started to wear masks, and then suddenly people, they forgot to bring masks, or they don't say anymore, they don't talk more about that. Or other things, yeah, not only about COVID, but you can have kind of new movies, new albums, and new music, and so on. So here, for example, looking forward to watching, there was a Squid Game, that it was this Korean TV show, that it was super popular at the end of 2021, that everybody was watching and so on, And yeah, before that there was nothing, So looking forward to watching, and so on, and then suddenly you have a squid, I mean clearly you see actually, it's come up, like the most obvious thing, that it was there too. So yeah, as you saw, obviously this is very cherry picked, and as I mentioned, in most of the tasks or most of your instances, this is not going to be the case, but there will be a few cases that it's going to happen. Then we continue evaluating in these kind of different tasks, so not only in language modeling or perplexity, but kind of real-world tasks. So here we have topic classification and name entry recognition. So we divide some data sets and also kind of some evaluation. And as I mentioned, we have kind of different temporal splits. So the training data is maybe in 2020, and the evaluation data is in 2022. So because that's kind of the realistic setting where you're not going to have labeled data in 2022. So we kind of fine-tune our language models in these kind of temporal splits, and the result is kind of clear, like at least in this task. Now we have kind of some ongoing work that is more subtle, in the conclusions. But it shows that the temporal split, usually the performance is going to be worse. That, for example, when you shuffle, the training and test, that is what you usually, or traditional, I know it's been done in machine learning. So it shows the importance, of the models to be up to date and so on, especially in social media. If you're interested, also we are organizing, there is a series. I was part also last year, longer bar, actually evaluated precisely this, how models are robust over time, in different tasks. There is kind of information retrieval tasks, sentiment analysis, and this here is stance detection as well. But making an emphasis on this kind of having models that are robust over time and evaluate them. Now we have an ongoing work, so we have some people we can investigate a bit more. I've been very interested in this kind of temporal aspect, no? So because we have many kind of variables, and let's say that the research I showed you before, it was kind of a pattern, no? So we evaluated perplexity, so tasks here and there, different language models that have been evaluated, no? But that's different variables, so they have the pre-training data, the training data, the nature of the task. So these are the three main things, no? There are others, no, as well, no? The kind of the time, obviously a specific time and so on, no? So we try to investigate all this, no? All these factors, no? Pre-training data, training data, nature of the task. We have different conclusions. As I mentioned, it's ongoing work, and it's not so clear a conclusion, no? Let's say that in many kind of supervised tasks, at least no, when you have the training data and so on, the important thing is the training data. The more updated your training data is, the better the performance you will get. The pre-training data for a language model is less important for tasks where you have actually some supervision, let's say, no? If you don't have supervision, obviously it's essential. But if you have some supervision, it's much more important to have your label data up to date, even if you have annotated a few examples, than having a pre-trained corpus and a label corpus. And the nature of the task also changed a lot. So we were kind of before I gave you the impression that in any task, no, the temporal no distribution is important. And actually it was kind of by chance, no, the tasks that we evaluated, the name entry recognition and the topic classification, kind of they are kind of name entry recognition, for example, is entity driven, no? So I talked, for example, about the Squid Game and things like that. That's an entity, no? And entities change a lot, no? You have a new album, new music video, a new TV show, and many new entities, no? That a new person that become famous, no? Overnight, no? That they were not before, no? So name entry recognition is very biased for these kind of things. Let's say hate speech detection is not biased toward the entities, but it's very event driven, no? So if there is an event, some particular event, it kind of trigger more hateful responses, no? So, so for example, it's been shown, no? Like when you have the day of the women, no? Or the day that, yeah?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
So we imagine the development of new methods, so to integrate the contextual information and non-labeled data, right?
Huh.
So here you mentioned non-labeled data.
Yeah.
So in the first paragraph, we mentioned this pre-training
Yeah.
data, you mean the
Unlabeled data.
labels.
Yeah, unlabeled data. Yeah, that's unlabeled data. Like for example, just having a corpus. As I mentioned, you can continue training your language model, no? So you have a corpus of 1 million tweets or something, no? So you continue training your language model, no? That's what I mean. Yeah, it's not very clear. Training data is kind of labeled data. Yeah, probably that's a better, no? That kind of, yeah. It's labeled. You are talking about name entity recognition, no? So it's sentence that you annotated with entities, no? So yeah, that's what I mean, no? For the two things.
And the connection with the temporal challenge here, you mean the label also with the temporal information?
The label, yeah, there is no temporal information, at least we don't leverage the temporal information, no? But the labels, yes. If you, for example, you are evaluating 2022, if you have label data from 2022, your model is going to work better, no? That's what I mean, no? So the information is not explicitly given to the model, but you have, for example, in 2022, so you have entities that are related to 2022, no? So you annotated those kind of entities. That's what I mean for that, no? So the explicit temporal information, that's another kind of interesting research area I'm not talking today, but that's another way to do it. But here, no, we don't do it explicitly, no? We just give label data from that year, no? For example. And yeah, so the nature of the task is very important, no? So that's kind of the bottom up also. For example, you have sentiment classification, there is no difference, no? You don't need label data from your test set, let's say, no? For the same distribution. It's okay. I mean, usually, I guess, people say the same, they get angry, no? Or they kind of express a sentiment in similar ways, no? Doesn't change much, so it's not triggered by entities or by events, no? So that's also something that for us not surprising, because we evaluated most of the tasks that we evaluated, you have that impact, but then we evaluated more kind of generally, and we saw that that's not the case. So yeah, so we kind of backtrack in our original claims a bit, no? That the nature of the data is kind of also very important. Yeah, so we're working also trying to develop kind of methods that are more robust, that you don't need so much data, no? That they can leverage maybe that kind of temporal information in smart ways, that they are smart enough to know that maybe a new entity is new, no? So they can leverage that information that they maybe didn't know about data loss, so they can use the context and so on. Yeah, so as I mentioned, this is ongoing. And just quickly also, yeah, I want to mention about the tweet NLP, that is kind of where we put everything together. So it's a big team, an international multidisciplinary team, no? So we have people from SNAP in the US, from different universities, no? And this is kind of the initial team, and it's kind of more people are contributing also to tweet NLP nowadays. And just to mention what it is, so tweet NLP is a platform for NLP specialized in social media. So basically what I've been talking about today, no? So all the models that I've been talking about today, the language models, and we put also some codes. So we have a Python API that you can use easily, no? The models and just coding models and so on. what we focus is also relatively small models. No? That's very important, no? And different kind of the new trend in NLP. No? So the new models are getting bigger, ours maybe are getting smaller, no? At least the same size. So people can use usually with a laptop, and you can run, no? Like millions of inference per day or even less, no? In your own laptop. No? You don't need kind of cloud services and so on. And you get kind of the performance you see, as I mentioned before, it can be even better for this task than with large language models. So yeah, we have many application language models and so on. And especially probably what is more interesting for you is kind of the Python API, where you have everything put together, also the resources, the data sets and so on. You have there the GitHub repo, and we have also kind of a demo that is through NLP.org, where you can check all these kind of the models quickly. No? And we can still to update a bit, because this kind of some of the models are not kind of the newest ones, but yeah, you can at least work a bit. And today's a lovely day to send me the sentiment, so I would say that it's a positive sentiment. No? I think this is an easy example. Oh yeah, what I showed you before, just to say that I was not lying, no? So Halan, no, that was, no, and you can test different language models from different kind of years as well, no. So that was fast, quick, no, each close, that's what I put before, hopefully. Yeah. Yeah, so you have tweet similarity, name recognition, and so on. So you can try all this on your own. And just to show you the difference of different models, for example, the 2020 model and 2021, no, the example of the Squid Game. So looking forward to watching, and the first model doesn't know anything, no, Squid is not even there, and suddenly, no, Squid is clear, no, that the Squid Game is coming, no, there too. But yeah, this is a very cherry-pick example, no, again. We have things like topic classification too. Oh, so sorry about that. Yeah, it was not on purpose, that one, but Liverpool have outscored Manchester United, no, in the last, it was actually an example of my student story about that. Yeah, no, that actually he put it there too. So yeah, you kind of the topic, and I tell you these are sports, no, there too. So you have different kind of topics there, and it tells you, no, this is clearly talking about the sports, no. Even if you don't mention football or anything, no, I mean by the context, no, you understand that this is sport. This kind of topic classification is very useful, no. You want to just analyze your data to know what they are talking about and so on. Name recognition, as I mentioned, I talked quite a bit before, no. So it's just mentioned simply, no. You have the only depth, so you have to say it's a person, UK location, US location, and so on, no. And yeah, this model is like the general NLP task, but obviously specialized on social media. And you have all the models, knowing having face and so on, you can use it on your own, no? And we have the code also to make it easier to use it. We try to also experiment with kind of generation task models as well. It's kind of challenging in social media, I have to say, but yeah, we have some question answering and question generation that also you can try there. And it's also based on kind of some research that we're working on in the last couple of years. We have something new, like a demo, it's called Tweet Insights. You want to work that kind of, you are interested in the temporal distribution, no? So you can put a word and you can get the sentiment over time, the frequency, the topics over time, no? So you have here, for example, the example of vaccine, no? So delta there is in blue, no? So you see this is a sentiment, no? So it was kind of positive sentiment, it was kind of or normal sentiment, and suddenly, no, it gets to get very negative sentiment, no? Or vaccine as well, how it changed over time. Or here you have other words. Here is just the frequency. If you're only saying, yeah, the frequency here. So parasite, no, suddenly, no, and you can see also how the meaning is also changing here. No, so not here, but in the other kind of chart. Parasite is a movie again that got an Oscar in 2021, maybe, or 2020. So suddenly, not many people talk about that, and again, people start talking about that. Or folklore, I think is a song or an album by Taylor Swift, no. So suddenly, no, it got very popular, no, because it was just a song from Taylor Swift, no. Or Macron, no, is the president, no, of France, no. You had elections at that time, and suddenly, no, it got also very popular, no. So you can analyze this, not only the frequency, but how the meaning change, how the topics, no, evolve, and all these things, no, kind of using the models that we've been talking about before. Yeah.
When some models suddenly get popular, do you have a feature to link why it gets popular?
Yeah, here we have just basically the statistics, no. So we kind of, so for example, yeah, when you put parasite here, no? If you check also the other, like you put before, no? You have meaning shift, no? So you have kind of 4 different charts, no? So meaning shift, you see how it changed the meaning. Or folklore, no? Folklore, you will see how the meaning suddenly is very different, because folklore is a normal word, but suddenly, no, it's like a music album, no? So it's totally different, no? Or you can see how the topics change too, no? Like there is one clear example. You put Argentina, no? For example, that won the World Cup, no, in 2022. Suddenly it's a peak, no, that people talk about that, and you can see the topics that suddenly is sports, no, the most popular topic, no, by far, no, because people are talking about the World Cup, no, and that. So yeah, kind of that's why we put different things, because then you can experiment yourself, no, and try to understand, no, these kind of shifts, no, and why that happened, no. But here basically, I mean, we don't give the answer, but we just give the chart, no, the data, no, and then people can figure it out, no, all these kind of things. Just to show you the kind of application that you can use with these models, no. So we are involved in many applications, and mostly we don't know people that use our models because they just download, no, and use them, no. But then we've been involved, no, in things that you can do. So this is kind of a paper also that we try to analyze the sentiment in politics in different countries. So what they did is we collected a corpus of tweets from MPs, from members of parliaments in Greece, Spain, and UK, and the focus here is 2021, that then we extended to. And we wanted to analyze the relation between sentiment and virality, because we have kind of on a hypothesis, and not only ours, no, that things that are more negative gets more retweeted or more popular, no, over time. No? And we say, how truth is that, no, with politics, no, and do it at a large scale, no. So we launch our models. Kind of the sentiment models and in the collected data. We get also kind of some popularity metrics and so on. And yeah, it was super clear, no, the trend, as you say, like the tweets are a negative charge, no, even under the same conditions, no, they get more popular, no. So we could answer that kind of research question, no, methodically and for the first time with a lot of data, no, not only having an assumption but kind of empirical also tested. Yes, also you can check also kind of other kind of things that also journalists, for example, are very interested in these kind of things. Well, viral tweets are overwhelmingly negative, and especially in Spain. In Spain, everything is negative by MPs, and you will see that it's in general negative, but especially the ones that get more popular are more negative. So I guess that's a vicious cycle, no? Because it gets more popular, but people tend to also tweet more negative, or at least know that what sociologists tend to say too, no? Which is, I guess, it's not a very positive trend. And if you so yeah, this is for example in Spain, like in the popular tweets, the top 5%, no, the 71% are negative, and the unpopular tweets, or let's say like the more normal tweets, like bottom 35%, you have a more normal distribution, or let's say, no, that you have more or less the same number of positive and negative tweets. And if you study also over time, you will see that just the tweets are getting more negative over time, no. So I guess it's a worrisome trend, no, that I guess you are saying, no, in social media that you get things that are controversial and negative, no, that gets to be more popular, people tweet more, and then there is more kind of this kind of it's not like a very fruitful conversation, no, because people are kind of against each other, because that's what it gets more popular too. You also kind of filter, no, by political party. Also, we say that, for example, that the government, no, politicians are usually more positive than the oppositions, irrespective of they are right wing or left wing and so on. Which I guess makes sense. They want to sell what they do that is positive, and the opposition just want to criticize, no? But again, this is kind of this vicious cycle that then why you need to have a conversation, or if they are positive, no, things, I mean, it should be positive for everyone, but yeah. But it happened, no? For example, in Spain, the party is from the left wing, no? And you can see that it's more positive and the less negative. Or here, the conservatives, no? You say that also they are the more positive, no? And the least negative, no? That is kind of the right wing, so you can have an opposite, the same trends, no? Like the government, no? Is usually more positive. And you get even the prime minister, no, like the leaders, no, at the time, you can see like the prime minister is usually only 13% negative, no, and then the leader of opposition is very negative. And in Spain, generally, as you say, it's even more negative. If you go to the UK, at least the time that we studied, the Boris Johnson with the prime minister, only 5% of the tweets were negative from him, no, but then Keir Starmer actually was a bit more negative. Not as much as in Spain, no, but you can see also this kind of this trend in the leaders. And yeah, other kind of interesting, you are also working, I'm going to stay here longer if somebody want to talk, no? So we are working different kind of multidisciplinary collaborations, and analyzing this information, this project was part of that. Try to analyze also early healthcare interventions, related also with mental health, but also we are analyzing also in the terms of COVID or outbreaks, no? When you have kind of something like, not only a pandemic, but also flu, no? Through outbreaks, no? So you can analyze also social media. Maybe this can give you some faster information that if you go actually by the government figures that usually are more slower, no, to get that information. So we are collaborating with public health wells and other kind of entities, not to see if this can be a potential signal as well. So yeah, that was all. And sorry, I think I was very quick, especially the last part, but hopefully it was more or less understandable. But kind of a few points, no, at least that you want to take as takeaways. Social media is still very challenging, and even in the age of large language models, it's still challenging and it's not easy. And now it's even more challenging because again, getting data for research is even more challenging, so but that's another story as well. But just from the point of view of NLP, it's very challenging, and there are still many challenges. So it's not solved by large language models only. And I argue that a special language model, and usually smaller, and usually a good solution, and usually even a better solution from the point of view of results, But obviously, from the practical point of view, it's much more practical, no? But yeah, for many different reasons, I mean, this kind of maybe this should be, or at least it's our focus on research as well, no? Obviously, I'm not saying that large language are not useful, and we use it a lot, no? But there is a way, no, to maybe leverage that information to make it more practical for people, no? That they don't have access to huge GPUs, for example, no? And that sometimes it's not easy. You have to do from the, you have to use an API sometimes, and there are privacy concerns and so on, no? So there is a lot of work to be done in this area. Temporal adaptation is needed. Hopefully I convince you, but as I mentioned, for some tasks more than others. And yeah, updated probably is just part of the solution, but not the only one. As I mentioned, no, having more labeled data is even more helpful, and that's not easy to get, no, because you need to get then annotated, no, and real time, and that's not easy to do that. And there are a lot of applications, especially you get from many people domains. So people are working with a lot of data, no, with textual data, and they want to analyze things in social media, but also in general, no, as an NLP, no, and now. They don't know how to use these tools. No? We have great tools. I mean, for the last few years, everything has been improving a lot, but people don't know how to leverage well, no? To leverage at a scale, with a limited infrastructure, no? For certain applications, no? And so on. No? So, I mean, as an NLP, we have a lot to offer, no? In that respect, no? And to make our models even more practical. No? That's also one thing that we focus on. And yeah, that's all the resources I mentioned. We make sure that everything is available online and so on. And if you want to use them, they are all there. And yeah, happy to take any questions or to discuss after this.
Any questions from the audience?
Can I ask, how do you collect the tweets? Do you use the API or do you scrape them?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, we use, most of the time before, no, we use the academic API, no, so that it lets you a lot of downloads and so on, no, so I use a lot for research purposes, no, we could use quite a lot, no, and for last year, I mean, that's gone, so now we don't have a good way to collect, let's say, no? I mean, we still collect a bit, but now obviously the size that were things that we were collecting, no, is much more reduced, no? So we kind of use all the kind of platforms as well, and we actually figure it out, no, how to do it, no, in a kind of ethical, legal manner, no? We try to do always legally and so on, no? Scrapping, many people do scrapping as well, but we don't usually do that, no? We've been relying basically on the API and the academic API mostly. So yeah, that's been a huge blow, and I don't have a good answer because we are still figuring out, no? But when we try to transition also to other sources, and we wanted to do also that from before, no? Because we've been maybe focused a lot on Twitter, but Twitter is not the only social media platform, no? And for us, from the NLP perspective, I mean, we need to want to have models that are good in different social media platforms as well, no? So kind of this accelerated this transition, no? To not only focus on Twitter, no? But yeah, don't have anyone has a good solution also all ears because I don't have it, no? Unfortunately, yeah.
Thank you.
So about tweet eval and super tweet eval, so you mentioned, if I understood correctly, it's a combination of already existing benchmark data sets and then your own data sets, is that correct?
Yeah.
So the ones which are your own, did you manually kind of label those, or was there like an element of semi-automatically labeling them?
And most of them are manually labeled on this. I don't know all, well, not all, but for example, let's say emoji prediction, that it was one of ours, no? So it's for just predict the emoji, no? Like for example, when you are completing, you know, in WhatsApp or something, no? It tells you, what emoji, you put, no? So that we don't need supervision because we just download millions of tweets, no? So we see what is the emoji that most people use, and that's our training data, let's say, no? So for that one, no. But let's say for the others, or most of them, maybe I'm confused, but I will say 90% of all the tasks, yeah, they are manually labeled, no? So we have people annotating, no, and then kind of get into an agreement, guidelines, and so on, no, to annotate. So most of them, yeah, are kind of manually annotated. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Follow up with Lisa's question. How many data did you manually allocate, and what kind of entities did you annotate?
Yeah, well, so depending on the task, no. So as we mentioned, we have many different tasks, no. And for us, we only a few of the data sets are ours, no. So others we kind of we use what people use, no. The ones that are release open source, or we communicate with the authors, no, we integrate it, no, in the benchmark, no. So for, let's say you're talking about entity, maybe name entity recognition is one that we work on. So we annotate it, I don't know how many, but tens of thousands, maybe 15,000 tweets, no, or something. So we annotate all the entities that appear, no, in the tweets, no, which then maybe it's 20,000 no entities, no, and then 7 type of entities, no, and so on. But yeah, kind of each of the tasks is done very differently, no. So that has nothing to do one with the other, no. Well, they have something similarities, no? It's working on the social media and so on, no? But they kind of, we purposely also put the benchmark that are kind of diverse tasks, no? So they are kind of not the same task, no? So yeah, I can tell you one by one, no, the tasks, but there is no kind of a one approach, no, that we follow in all. As I mentioned, emoji prediction is very different. And in that case, also, that's very interesting, the emoji prediction. It has maybe nothing to do with this, but maybe for me I found it surprising that humans are worse than basically having these automatic models in emoji prediction. And the reason is, obviously we use emojis, and I don't know what happened to you, I use emojis quite a bit, but I usually use kind of the same emojis all the time, no? And I think people use the same emojis, but no, I mean, if I go maybe another kind of communities, they use other emojis. And this model has seen everything, no? And it was not my work, but it was previous work that showed that kind of automatic models are better than humans, no, on this kind of tasks. I mean, that happened in general, no. But just to say, no, that each task is very different, no, it has their own peculiarities and so on.
Just about the temporal adaptation or adjustment, I would say, right?
Yeah.
So things obviously change all the time, and when you have a snapshot of language models, they can only capture what they've been exposed to. And it's future events or recent events, but it's also old events. Some of the old events you may want to ignore, right? Because I don't know, treatments change, and you don't want to be able to remember in the language model things that have been around 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, how would you approach the continuous adjustment? So something that happens all the time and doesn't really require retraining or fine-tuning the model.
Yeah. No, that's a very good question, and I don't think I have the answer. No, I mean, there are a lot of people working on this, kind of continue learning what is the best approach. I haven't talked much, no, but in our paper we tried two approaches, very naive. I mean, there are much better approaches, no. But in our paper we just tried, just for example, every quarter. So we train, for 3 months. No, we train, then the next 3 months, then the next 3 months, the next 3 months. This one, it showed that, for example, for the last period, is very good because the last 3 months is what you have been training, no. But maybe you evaluate like 1 or 2 years before, it's not that robust because you start forgetting a few things, no? That, for example, you train, you have data from the last 2 years, you put all together. That's usually better overall, no? But in the last period, maybe it's not as good, no? But as you mentioned, probably, I mean, you need some approaches on continual learning smarter than that, no? Like, yeah, some things you want to remember, some others not, no? So how to do all that, no? Yeah, I think that's super interesting, no? I mean, we have worked very naively, I mean, from the practical point of view, but I know that people, you know, in machine learning working this kind of continual, no, training and so on, that they have very interesting ideas, and we try also to leverage them, no? But yeah, it's clear that we need something more, no? Something more smarter than this, let's say, no? Yeah.
A quick one. Has it been optimized for real-time data?
Optimizing what, sorry?
Have you, maybe you and your team, have you optimized this to work on the real-time data?
And real-time data, you mentioned? Yeah, as I mentioned, it's not super real. I mean, until the last year, 2023, yeah, we have models and so on, no? But because of problems also on Twitter and also the team, I mean, we have been transitioned with the team and so on, no? So people that were working here are not there, and if we have mostly for the data. So let's say it's not exactly up to date, but I mean, it's from the last year, let's say, no? The models and so on, no? So pretty recent, let's say, compared with others. But yeah, we kind of, the commitment that we had before to getting everything updated, yeah, we haven't followed in the last few months, unfortunately. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I come from a project management background, and currently I'm working on devising a lot of ways or exploring ways to mitigate scope creep in using, AI, right? And NLP is one of the algorithms I'm looking at using to at least process data.
Yeah.
So my question is, if we use tweet NLP to harness all the tweets from maybe management team, or maybe all the other members of the team working on the project, can it pick out maybe a scope creep issue, so to speak? Is it possible, or have you seen data in that regard, or maybe you've seen any data you trained on? Yeah,
definitely. I mean, that's kind of the idea, no? That, I mean, having even, that's super interesting, no? I mean, having new, and I find like every month, no, people contact us, no, like with kind of new kind of use cases, no? Because usually these kind of language models are very flexible, no? So you can use for different things, no? So I mean, I haven't thought about that, but I'm sure, I mean, you can leverage, maybe you need to define well the task for the language model or provide some data, no? And then quickly we'll learn, no? I mean, that's the good thing, and maybe I didn't emphasize this, no? But the good thing about the language model is like they can, still I say, it's important to specialize, no? But they are very versatile, no? So they are very flexible, that if you have very few data for whatever your problem is, no, they are going to be very good, no. So yeah, you can imagine that these kind of applications, no, you can use it, no, and so on. I mean, obviously, I don't know exactly, no, so some applications will work better than others.
But
yeah.
We have a studio we can co-work together on. Is it possible?
Yeah, these kind of things. I mean, we collaborate with kind of many, no, different teams, and we love actually in the California NLP, at least in our group. We try because we learn a lot with how people use it, no, and then also that helps us, no, because then we devise better models because we know what people are really used, no? Because sometimes we just are research community, no, we care just about numbers, but sometimes the practical utility is important, no. So yeah, definitely. I mean, that's our scope for that, no, and yeah.
Right. When I saw Twitter, Cardiff NLP, I mean, I never knew that exists, but now
you can say, yeah.
I'm going to be part of it, and also I'd love to speak to maybe later on Professor Lee and see if there's any way we can collaborate also.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So apparently, in modern context, we can see things like meme coming up, and there are some kinds of words that convey probably different meanings through very professional-looking words. And we also have the problem that Twitter is limiting how institutions can get tweets from, well, the platform is now called X. So how does Cardiff NLP address to these questions, these problems?
The first question is kind of having some kind of words that are usually different kind of meanings, no? You mentioned, no, the first part of the question, if I understood correctly. Yeah, as I mentioned, that's actually probably NLP, no? Like, yes, and I do work a lot, I haven't talked about it in disambiguation, no? So I mean, yeah, so words have different meanings, but language models are very good to catch this, no? So I mean, if you use one word with one meaning and another word with other meaning, depending on the context, they are going to be very good, no? So I used to work in disambiguation, and I don't think it's by any means solved, no? But language models are very good to catch that in context, no? And we have a kind of other research, no, already with social media on that, no? That your language models have been very good, if they know, because that's the problem, no? For example, you mentioned, no? Something maybe changed the meaning in the last month. If your language model is not up to date, it will not know, no? But if it's up to date, yes, no? And it's quite good at that. So I don't think that's a big problem if the model is up to date, no? And with some caveats, it's not always perfect, no, and so on. No? For the second question, it's kind of what I answered you. Now, we don't have a good answer about how to get the Twitter data, unfortunately. Before it was academic API, so it was very easy, everything. Now it's not. So we don't have a good solution to that, unfortunately. No? So yeah, I can discuss all the kind of ideas, and I would like to talk here with people, no? Creative ideas there are, no? All the kind of social media platform. But yeah, unfortunately, as you say, it's much more difficult to work on Twitter nowadays. Yeah.
The one slide you mentioned that the smaller model perform better than large language model. Yes.
This one.
So smaller specialized model with supervision still better than LLMs. I was wondering whether you're doing the comparison. Are you just using prompting with the LLM, or you're doing feature learning or chain of thought? What was the setup like?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, we try to use it more or less how people will use it, no? So I mean, kind of prompting, custom prompting. I mean, we got kind of prompt that has been worked well in that task, no? So in those tasks, there are some prompts though that are given already, no? That I mean, already, no? They provide kind of good performance. So we try those ones. We don't try to do any kind of other prompting techniques, no? So just using prompt that we know that they works, no? I mean, not something that we come out, no? And we try all the others too, like other how people can approach the task in different ways. We don't do any kind of chain of thought. I guess also with social media it's hard too, but that would be interesting. I don't think that many people know using.
Too short the message.
Yeah, because it's very short. That's the problem. So there is not much of reasoning there sometimes, but it could be very interesting. I think, no. I mean, we haven't explored that area, and I think not many kind of things. Yeah, but sometimes that's the problem. Sometimes in this, I think ideally you need kind of all the context, no. But sometimes you analyze just a tweet, no, out of the box, no, and you have to figure out the context. But obviously you have all the context. That's what is ideal, no, for that. So yeah, I think there is a lot of scope. And obviously that's why. I mean, this result is not by no means conclusive or anything, no. It's kind of using LLMs, let's say as they are, no. Also we try a few shots as well. That also we try, no, like giving a few examples, no, in context learning, no, basically, and so on, no. So that also we tried, and it was not very helpful in general, but yeah, it will work a bit better than without examples, but not much more, no? Yeah. But I mean, yeah, I'm sure that large language models can be leveraged in words, but we try to use what people will use, no? Like in a practical setting, you have some prompts, so we use it, no? Or even kind of, yeah, in context learning, no? But it would be super interesting to see how this language model can be leveraged, no? In social media, or maybe even distill the knowledge, no? Somehow, no? or chain of thought and so on. But yeah.
So the performance difference is not that big, right? Or is it quite big?
The performance difference, you mean with the smaller? Well, depending on the tasks. No? In some tasks it's kind of big, because I think it's also hard to leverage, let's say, name-it recognition. No? Name-it recognition is hard to leverage a language model out of the box. No? Like gives you the entities and the start position and so on. No? They get confused also very easily. No? I mean, they are very smart and they understand what to do, but then you need to give the output and what you want. Sometimes it's slightly different from what you want and make small mistakes. No? For example, in entity recognition, I think they were not that good and the difference was kind of big. But in other tasks, the performance maybe is not that big. No? Most of the times it was not that big. Yeah.
Thank you, Jose.
Yeah.
I think the time is up. Let's thank the speaker again.